Hello everyone, welcome to this audio podcast. This audio podcast is part of the Howl and Shiztorm. This audio podcast is part of the Shape Mode and Atom. This audio podcast is part of the Mayhem Squad. This audio podcast as part of a Storm Robotics, production. Continuing on from looking at aspects pertaining to the pharmacotherapeutics in around this works led by C. Jefferson and some student collaborators who developed this sort of original works from retrospectively, and where C. Jefferson C. Jefferson being a pharmacology student, and where the works was where works was led in around a collaborative effort. This audio podcast will go into how to manage Crohn's disease or syndrome, and a look at some of the look at some of the basis of approved sort of pharmacotherapeutics in context of the literature. So this audio podcast will look at a little bit in around that. So the FDA, the Food and Drugs Administration, FDA, had made a groundbreaking progress by approving a particular pharmacotherapeutic, which had been referred to as Omvo to treat adults with Crohn's, leading to new milestones being reached for therapeutic pharmacotherapeutics available. A phase three clinical trial referred to as Vivid one was conducted on patients or recipients who had tried other pharmacotherapeutics previously, such as corticosteroids and immunomodulators, and not seen, and where such patients or recipients had not advantage much from those particular pharmacotherapeutics, and so during this particular clinical trial, some patients or recipients received Omvo whilst others received placebo. However, those patients were changed. Patients were then switched to Omvo after 12 weeks if there was no improvement that was found, and the analyses from the investigation or this particular clinical trial showed that significant advancements, with a 53% of recipients who were treated by Omvo reached clinical remission after 1 year of treatment, and 46% of these patients or recipients had clear signs of healing on their on and through their intestinal lining. There's also an ongoing there is as when C. Jefferson had developed this original works with collaborators, there had been an ongoing Vivid 2 study or clinical trial that had been taking place, and was that had been taking place, and the base and the sort of objective in around that was to look at and investigate the long-term advantages of Omvo pharmacotherapeutic after over a three-year duration, and the analysis through that showed that after 2 years of pharmacotherapeutic treatment, after that particular pharmacotherapeutic, 80% of recipients showed a positive response and the analysis was determined through an endoscopic assessment, and 90% of the end had and 90% had endoscopic and clinical remission. Taking a closer look at and in around Omvo pharmacotherapeutic, it was It is a monoclonal antibody that binds to the P19 component of interleukin 23, and this is a cytokine that activates the T helper cell 17 or Th17 cells. A patient with Crohn's can trigger many inflammatory cytokines, which lead to a severe inflammation of the intestinal lining. ONVO particularly works or has its action as evidence in the literature by binding to P19 subunit, which stops the Th17 cells from activating. So less inflammatory cytokines are inflammatory cytokines, therefore prompt the sort of the inflammatory bases, and therefore decreases inflammation in the intestinal lining. ONVO was or has been in as part of the clinical trial that took place, was a pharmacotherapeutic that was administered was administered intravenously, and then maintained using injections to continue the action of the pharmacotherapeutic. So in summary, continuous advancements or advances in biologics and targeted pharmacotherapeutics offer a sort of new hope for patients or individuals that suffer with Crohn's. Ongoing research is pertinent or is essential in improving pharmacotherapeutic or treatment outcomes, and enhancing the overall quality of life of those who suffer with Crohn's condition, or Crohn's syndrome, Crohn's disease. So that does it. That draws this audio podcast to a close. This audio podcast as part of the Howl and Shitstorm. This audio podcast as part of the Shipmode and Atom. This audio podcast as part of the Mayhem Squad, and this audio podcast as part of a Storm Robotics production.